That was off record, by the way. Okay, so Perek Het, we did Pasuk He because I was part of the Pasukim before that. Basically, Shlomo HaMelech in the 8th chapter introduces now the responsibility a person has to engage properly in a relationship with Hashem. Until the 8th chapter, Shlomo HaMelech is dealing with more of the inner demons, flaws, challenges, internally, socially, religiously. But only now does he address the importance of a connection with Hashem. Below the sun, which means in the within the brackets, within the limitations of nature. Okay, with your nefesh, with your emotions, and with your instincts. Above the sun is your soul, is your neshama, and this is what everybody's trying to penetrate and enter. This dimension that is called above the sun. So everything that Shlomo HaMelech is talking about is below the sun. So people interacting with, in their life with emotions or instinctive and being reactional. All right. So Pasuk Vav. Sorry, we're going to go back. We're just going to recap from Pasuk He. Shomer mitzvah lo yeda davara ve'et u'mishpat yeda lev adam. Lev chacham, sorry. Our responsibility in order to be able to be connected to Hashem and have the proper relationship, as we left off yesterday, is to engage and be a shomer. Shomer mitzvah doesn't mean to keep the mitzvot. Because Shlomo HaMelech does not need to come and tell us, oh, by the way, you should keep the mitzvot. We're talking about people that keep the mitzvot. But the approach, you have to be a shomer, you have to be a guardian of the mitzvah, which really means the tzivui, the commandment of Hashem, the will of Hashem. You have to be a shomer, you have to be engaged and protect the value of this relationship you have with Hashem. And a person that behaves like this shies away, is protected from bad things, from making mistakes. Ve'etu mishpat, and we spoke about it, there's times, you have to understand that there's a moment that you have to keep in mind all the time, where the lev of the chacham, where the heart of the chacham is always. Where is your heart? The heart of the chacham is always focused on the understanding of the moment, and that's referring to Har Sinai, and the mishpat, the value of the Torah and its and the laws, and the impact it has on humanity, on Am Yisrael, and on a community, on a family, and on a person individually. And that's how a person really protects himself from the mistakes, one can do, even if he's considered a chacham, and use his chokhmah, his wisdom in the wrong way. So, Pasuk Vav. כי לכל חפץ יש עת ומשפט, כי רעת האדם רבה עליו. So, כי לכל חפץ, that can, okay, from that point, there's a big divergence in the way to understand the Pasuk. Every opinion is just taking it from one's very specific angle. Lekol chefetz, it can mean every situation, because in every situation or every encounter that you face, or every type of situation, yesh etu mishpat, has its time and has its rules. Don't think that there's a situation you will not face, because you will face times of strength, times of weaknesses, like Shlomo HaMelech spoke about the different types of moments. Kira'at ha'adam, why is that? Why is a person exposed to so many different types of situations and moments, ups and downs, with a very wide spectrum? because the Ra'at Adam, Ra'at doesn't mean, according to this opinion, it doesn't mean bad. It comes from the Rea. Rea means thoughts, because the thoughts of men, Rabba alav, are overwhelming him. A person has so many thoughts, and he goes in so many different directions, and he wants to accomplish so many different things that he doesn't even realize what he's about to expose himself with. So those, when your thoughts are so overwhelming, then you need to know, and that's the reality on most people, right? Then you need to know that you're going to be exposed to many, many, many different types of situations you'd never even thought you would ever face. The Sforno takes this, the next few psukim in a more intimate interaction or relationship between a person and Hashem. And Hefetz, he refers to mitzvot. Every mitzvot, the Hefetz Hashem is the will of Hashem. So if you understand that the mitzvot are really the will of Hashem, the desire of Hashem, and when you open Shulchan Aruch, when you open the Torah, it's not your obligation to do. It's what Hashem expects from you, what He wants to see in you, what He desires from you. The same way, according to Shlomo Melech, is saying that Hashem thrives and craves a certain behavior. So, if you understand that, then you know that when you read the Torah, a lot of laws, a lot of situations are so foreign to us. Whether it's Hilchot Korbanot, the laws of Korbanot, or the laws of Sotah, or the laws of Ben Sorer Umoreh, or very weird, Para Aduma, for example. There's a lot of laws that are very, very far from us, and we can't really even relate to. And therefore, we push aside, because we say, that's not for me, or this is not so relevant, or this is not so interesting, and we start to carve the Chefetz Hashem, the desire of Hashem, and define it as our desire. And that's how much Hashem desires me, or how does Hashem desires me will depend on how I desire. What's my desire? What's the definition of my desire? And says Shlomo HaMelech, Yesh et u'mishpat, you should know that there are moments where the knowledge, there are moments, et u'mishpat, where the mishpat, where the knowledge, where the wisdom of those halachot or those portions of the Torah that seem completely meaningless to you will come into effect and will help you to understand better or approach better a situation. Do not disregard any wisdom that you can gain from the Torah or any desire Hashem is expressing to you as something that is not interesting, because one day you will need it. But that might not be Para Aduma. It might not be the laws of Sotah. But learning Para Aduma, learning the laws of Sotah, learning Korbanot will give you a perspective and will give you a certain insight that one day, at one time, you will end up using. So Shlomo HaMelech, according to the Sforno, is saying, don't limit yourself and your knowledge and your exposure to Hashem's craving to be with you and to live within you through the Torah, through the wisdom, through the Chokhmah, because one day you will need it. And all you're doing by narrowing it down is setting yourself up for failure, because the time will come and you were exposed to so much wisdom and you decided to push it aside, and here you find yourself completely clueless because you don't know how to approach the situation. And we know the vicious circle at that point. Yeah, we blame the world, we blame everybody, and why does Hashem does that to me? Who's prepared for such a thing? The reality is that you chose not to be prepared for it by carving out does a person needs all this wisdom? And why a person needs to absorb so much? Because the challenges of life is so big. It's so overwhelming. A person is facing so many different situations that you need to be armed properly and have the proper tools. Good?
Yes. Rav, what's the proper mindset to have for the laws that, like Para Aduma or others, that we're not meant to understand?
Okay, very good. So the Rambam explains that there is a layer of understanding. Okay, there is a layer of understanding, and then once you understand what you're supposed to understand from Para Aduma, you start realizing there are things that the deeper message of Para Aduma is so far from you that you understand that you don't understand. Okay, so understanding that certain things you will not understand is part of life, and you need to accept that. Not everything you can understand, and if you think you can understand everything, then you're fooling yourself, and you're setting yourself up for failure and for big crisis in life. So the chukim, you have chukim. You don't have more chukim than mishpatim, but you have chukim. So all the chukim, if you learn it as one parasha, as one if you want, umbrella of that regroups all the chukim, you will see that every chok has a facet that's very specific to it. Says the Rambam, that will help you in a specific situation deal with the fact that there's only so much you can grasp, and that's how you get empowered in that situation.
Does that noise me? Oh, good. No, because I know, we're not a religion of blind faith, right? We know that.
Absolutely
right?
Not. Absolutely, the opposite. The opposite.
Exactly. We're the opposite. We're the religion of questions and prosecution almost, right? And so, there's a certain level of, and going back to some of the stuff that we learned earlier, that Shlomo HaMelech tells you that you shouldn't, kind of bite off more than you could chew. You shouldn't run before you could walk, and you should understand what you're doing, and you should have a connection to what you're doing. So I guess just to be clear so that I understand, when it comes to the Cholkin, if you have the foundation that you're asking the questions about the foundation of our religion and the connection to Hashem and all of that, and you have that, you understand the Cholkin play almost a specific role.
Let me ask you a question. Para Aduma.
Yeah.
Do you understand what you don't understand? Do you know what you don't understand?
No.
Very good. Okay. So that's the problem. Is that everybody addresses the chukim as something that's not understandable without even knowing what they don't understand about Para Aduma or about the chok. You understand? And that's exactly what the Rambam says. He says you need to understand enough, or you need to understand what you don't understand. And once you understand what you don't understand, then you got the lesson. And then you really connect it to that mitzvah.
Right. So if you learn it, and then you know what you don't understand, then you accomplished what you're supposed to.
Yes, in relation to that the connection of that chok. I think I brought it earlier in the shiurim. I spoke about the story with Rav Chaim Mibrisk and his student. That he had a student from a different city, okay? Rav Baruch Ber Leibovich. Rav Baruch Ber Leibovich became the closest student to Rav Chaim of Brisk. And when he was young, he left his city, and he went to learn by Rav Chaim. And he stayed there for a full year. You can go back and forth. He said, came the Pesach the following year, he goes back to his town. I told you guys this story. And he goes back in town, and he sees that everything he learned by the yeshiva of Rav Chaim, the entire kids of his grade knew it also. So he's like, I don't understand. I leave my house, I leave my parents, I go, on a journey to go learn by this great rabbi, Rav Chaim, and I come back, and all my friends know exactly everything that I heard from him. They know. So he was very depressed. He was very down. So his mother had to convince him to go back to yeshiva after Pesach, to Rav Chaim. He goes, very bitter, and he enters the Rosh Yeshiva's house. And Rav Chaim asks him, what's the problem? Why you look so sad? So he says, Rabbi, I don't understand. I come to you, I sacrificed to learn the Torah of Rav Chaim Mibrisk. And everybody knows it in town. So Rav Chaim told him, to know what to say, you don't need Rav Chaim. But to know what not to say, you need Rav Chaim. You understand?
Yes.
So the chukim is to know to understand what you don't understand. And for that, you need the chukim. The mishpatim, you will never be exposed to such a situation. So if you will, one of the big reasoning behind the chukim is emunah, to build your emunah and be at peace with the fact that not everything you can understand. And it's fine. It's fine. It's absolutely fine.
Thank you.
Good. So that's that. So that's what the Sforno says. The Sforno says that expose yourself to wisdom, expose yourself to knowledge, absorb it, understand it, connect to it, even if it doesn't talk to you. Because one day, since a man is so exposed to different things, one day you will be able to use it, and you will know what to do with it, and you'll be armed. You'll have the proper tools to tackle the challenge. And he continues, Pasuk Zayin. Ki enenu yodea ma sheyeh. We never know what is to expect. Nobody knows what you're about to expect. Ki kasher yeh, and when it comes, mi yagid lo. Who's here to warn him? By the way, be careful. There's a storm coming towards you. Again, according to this Sforno, it's beautiful. He says, you know what? He says, Ki ra'at ha'adam rabba alav, right? Or it means the situations that you're facing, or literally it means the ra'ah, it means the bad, the yetzer hara. Is so strong on a person that the yetzer hara exposes the inclination. Now, again, we're very clear about what the yetzer hara means. We're not talking about the little red guy with horns and a tail. Huh? We're talking about your inner instincts, your reactions, the emotions that are all over the place, okay, that take you in many different places in your life without you really wanting it, but it feels good at the moment. So says the Sforno, if you don't have the Torah, if you don't have the wisdom, if you don't have this intimate relationship where the Torah for you, the wisdom, the chokhmah, the life to you, is really Chevetz Hashem, what Hashem craves, then you can never plan what's about to come. You're always in front of an unknown. What situation am I about to face? And kasher yihin, when it comes, you're not prepared for it. You don't know how to handle it. So you're going to have to react randomly, instinctively, and again, going back to the same behavior that Shlomo HaMelech despises, right? And all this why? Because this is what happens when you're not exposed to the chokhmah, or when you're exposed to a chokhmah that is very selective, sectarian, that is very selfish, the chokhmah that you choose to connect to in the Torah, that you dictate Hashem, the definition of chefetz, the definition of desire, the definition of our relationship, what wisdom really means to me, what's important to me. If this is your relationship, then the motivation that pushes a person to behave like this is what? Is his selfishness, is his worries, his doubts, his flaws that dictate the level of relationship the person wants to have with others, or his relationship with the Torah, with Hashem. And that's what sets the person for failure. And then you're in the dark. Then you're completely in the dark. Because you never know what to expect. You never know what's coming at you. Mi yagid lo, who's going to be here to protect you? Who's going to be here to advise you? There's nobody in your head. And we're not talking about your friend. We're not talking about your father, your mother. We're talking about you. Who inside of you? What tool do you have that can alarm you and prevent something bad to happen if you don't nurture it and you don't develop it and you don't acquire it? Good? En adam shalit beruach lichlo et haruach. And say, well, you might say, you know what? I have the instinct. It's in me. It's a gut feeling. I make the right decisions, Rabbi. I know. I'm never wrong. I know. So says Shlomo HaMelech, he doesn't say an ish. And we know what he refers to when he says Adam. Adam, that comes from the word Adama. En Adam shalit beruach lichlo et haruach. No man, can control, overcome, override the ruach, the yetzer hara. If you don't have the chacham inside, if you don't have the reshit, like we called it last night in the shiur, if you don't, chacham is the same gematria as chaim. Chaim means life, right? Chet, chacham, it's chet, chaf, mem, right? 68. Chet is 8, chaf 20, mem 40. 68. Chaim, chet, yud, mem. The chaim, the real life is when there's chacham inside. There's a melech inside. But if you're not chaim, if you don't have chacham, there's no life. There's no life. There's no existence. There's no exteriorization. You're just a passive individual. Like the Rambam says, yes, you're just, nothing better than an animal that's just walking around. Like you have kangaroos wandering in Australia, so you have people, My Rav Moshe, once he asked his uncle, his great uncle, I think that ani chozer aleim, things that I breathe and I live, I think I also said. Rav Eliyahu Dessler, he asked Rav Eliyahu Dessler when he was a little kid. Moshe asked him. He said they were learning a Gemara in Berachot, and that talks about shedim. About shedim is demons, like the spirits, the spirits. So my Rav, when he was a kid, he asked his uncle Rav Eliyahu Dessler. He said, "Did you ever see one? Because there's ways of seeing them, of this." So he asked him. He was a big tzaddik. Yeah, did you ever see a demon or a spirit like this? So Rav Dessler told him, before you ask me if I've seen spirits, ask me if I've ever seen a man. The definition of a real man, according to the Torah, I haven't seen it yet. Maybe. So, En Adam shalit beruach lichlo et haruach. If you don't have the chacham, if you don't have the chokhmah, you're not alive. And if you're not alive, then who's alive within you is the yetzer hara. And you know what? You cannot fight him. You cannot fight the yetzer hara. Don't tell me any stories. Don't think you're in control. Don't think you can deal with it when it comes. It's all big illusions. Build yourself in order to control yourself. And you know what? The en shilton beyom hamavet. When the day comes, the sechel, or according to this photo, is when the mavet is in front of you. It doesn't really refer to death. It refers to the avera. En mita belochet. When the avera comes, there's no shilton. There's nobody that will stop your yetzer hara. When you push your yetzer hara and you let your yetzer hara, you let your tendency take over. When you're facing a situation where you're going to fail, Don't expect the sechel, the mind, to take over. It will get paralyzed. Your mind freezes, your body gets numb, and you start doing something you know you shouldn't be doing, and you don't want to do. But you know what? You're powerless. You're completely powerless. Says Shlomo HaMelech, you know why? Because there's no chacham. There's no chacham behind. You let this instinct take over. Then and you think you will have like tools to go to war. Tefillin, or I eat kosher, or I do mitzvah, or you think you might lean on actions to hold on to. When you're in the milchama, where you're at war with yourself, in a situation where you know you're about to fail, not happening. Those mitzvot won't help you. Those actions won't help you. You can only help someone that's alive. But somebody that's not alive, you cannot help it.
How does it define having that chacham in you?
That's last shiur. That's last shiur. Understanding Har Sinai, valuing the mishpat, being a proud soldier, a proud, shomer, guardian of your. And by the way, it's not, when you say that, it's not walking around with a big sign on your forehead, I am the guardian of the will of Hashem. It's between you and yourself. It's the respect you have of your relationship with Hashem. How much do you respect that? How much are you proud of that? And everybody has a different level. So depending on how much you value it, how much you respect it, how much you cherish it, will define the type of guardian you are. And that's
not an absolute.
And grow the chacham that's in you. I'm sorry?
Right, it's not an absolute thing. You're either a chacham or you're not, right? There's levels.
No, Vaday, there's levels. You're a chacham as much as you allow yourself to be.
Right.
So the further or the more of a guardian that you are with relationship with Hashem, it seems like that comes to protect you from the Yetzer Hara.
Bless you.
It seems if you are a proper guardian, it translates to it being a guardian over you.
Absolutely. Let me ask you a question. Very simple. If you love, I'm going to go to something there. If you love your wife, you cherish your relationship with your wife, you care for your wife, you worry to worsen your relationship with your wife, are you going to start going around and playing around with another lady? You should be, and if you are, then you're not cherishing, and you're not loving, and you're not protecting. But don't tell me, I love my wife, I protect my wife, I love my relationship, but you know what? I like to play around. That's not zelo nachon. And you know why? Because you're hiding it from her. And if it's so unharmful, then go tell her what you're doing, and let's see what happens then. So the same thing is with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If you cherish your relationship with Hashem and your connection, you're not going to let contamination come and ruin that relationship, no matter what it is. And you're going to try to protect it, to nurture it, to a real guardian. And there is no, going back to what Stan is saying, there is no definition or there is no parameter of how much of a guardian you need to be or how much of a chacham you need to be. It's all relative to you.
Right. It's like, I'm sorry, please go ahead.
No, please.
Andy, go, I talk too much.
Okay. No, but didn't we say, Rabbi, that when we get more chacham, also the Yetzer Hara gets bigger too?
Absolutely. But it's again, the Yetzer Hara grows with you in order for your growth to keep on going. If you would grow and the Yetzer Hara stays the same, then you would stop growing. The second you overcome it, it's finished. There's no longer any purpose.
We have to thank him.
That's why he's called Tov Me'od. That's why in Maaseh Bereshit, the Yetzer Hara is called Tov Me'od.
Exactly. This is great. It changes my relationship with him. It's my friend now.
Well, it's the essence you want to keep the closest to you, because your worst enemy is the one you cannot identify. Once you know who your enemy is, you can deal with him. But if you don't know who your enemy is, you never know who you're facing. That's the power of terrorism. You never know who your enemy is. It's all individuals. It's all civilians. So you know who. You never know who's the threat.
It's true. And the Yetzer Hara is the master of disguise.
Nachon. Melech Ksil. Melech Zaken Uksil. So if I want to go back, because there's a structure that Shlomo HaMelech is putting in place as to what a person thinks he owns or he has, that fools him and makes him think he doesn't need the chokhmah, or he doesn't need enough chokhmah, and basically sets him off for a spin in a challenge when he's facing a chet. First of all, en adam shalit beruach lichlo et haruach. Don't think you're in control of your Yetzer Hara, that to the point that you can stop it and you can control it. Wrong. You are not in control of your Yetzer Hara. You know who's in control of your Yetzer Hara? Your Chokhmah. That's the only essence that's in you that you can actually use to counter your instincts and your emotional turmoils. Only the wisdom you acquire. That's it, number one. So don't think that you're a wise guy and that you can push yourself to test yourself, because you're going to fail no matter what. Number one. And if you think that whatever wisdom you have, whatever knowledge you have, whatever experience you have, can help you at the time of a sin, mistake. Once you're facing the sin, you're lost. Everybody tends to push their luck. Let me see. It's okay. It's okay. And the next thing you know, lo alenu, it's done. And you feel terrible. What did I just do? And it's the same thing for everything. It's the same thing the way the person approaches a relationship, or the person approaches the Shabbat, Torah. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. You know what? We're going to start the shiur in 15 minutes today. It's okay later. And then, from 15 minutes, it's tomorrow. And then from tomorrow, maybe we just go from, 2 times to 1 time. And but before you even know, khalas, no more shiurim. It's all about the approach and what you allow yourself to be exposed to. Yes.
So
okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I have a question on this. It's a little contradictory, because in the beginning of the pasuk he says, "Don't trust yourself, because you're not in control of your Yetzer Hara. Your Chokhmah is in charge of the Yetzer Hara." And then it says, when you get to the sin, don't think that your Chokhmah is going to stop you, because it's not.
Not your Chokhmah. Whatever Chokhmah you chose to take. Remember, no, it's not. We are talking about a person that has a selective relationship with Hashem and His wisdom, and only takes whatever he wants from it. Right. We're on a follow from the pasuk that's right before, that says absorb the Chokhmah and take it as a whole. Don't pick and choose what you want, because you will face situations where the wisdom that you don't think is relevant will be very relevant to your assessment of a situation.
So just amass as much Chokhmah as you can.
That's right.
Rav, I see here.
Kenny, we can't hear you. You're.
Would you say the wiser you are, the stronger your Yetzer Hara is, and the more ignorant you are, the less the Yetzer Hara is, the less of the challenge you have is? As you keep gaining wisdom, because you said the wisdom is the only thing that helps you become aware of the problem and solve it. The more wisdom you have, do you think the harder the problems are, or the stronger the Yetzer Hara is?
Okay, yes, the answer is yes, but not because your Yetzer Hara is bigger, but because he's wiser.
Because
you know, what's harder to do? To cure somebody that has fever and he has a flu, or to do a nanosurgery of the brain? So obviously the nanosurgery, right? Even though it's more specific, but it's harder. Where, you know, curing the flu, it's all over the place. But you know what? It's all over the place, and but you give him a few Acamol, you give him some Tylenols, and it will go. So the more you grow, and the more specific you become, and the more accurate you become, and the more connected you become, and the more the Yetzirah needs to narrow down, right? Because if you pay attention, it's like a vessel. Take a vessel, right? The more water you have, you fill it, the less space there is for oil, right? But if it's empty, you can fill it up with full oil. So the water is your chokhmah. And my Torah, blah, blah, blah. Okay, the oil also. It's okay. That's what creates a contrast. So if you don't have so much, you don't have chokhmah, so you have a lot of oil. Yeah? But as you fill it up, so only the gap and what's not filled is where the oil will be. Correct?
Correct.
Okay? This is the Yetzirah. This is the relationship with the Yetzirah. The only difference is that the quality of the oil changes with you also. So it becomes more and more and more and more and more and more refined. So he knows where to penetrate. And at the end, it's inside. It doesn't matter if it's 1 milliliter or if it's 10 liters. At the end, it's inside.
Okay.
Good?
Rav, in the commentary here, it says for the words velo yamlet resha et ba'alav, and it says evildoers will not escape punishment for their deeds, the wicked deeds will not save them. And then it says, it quotes utstaka tatzil mimavet, right?
Yeah.
Is that an absolute
No, but the opposite. He says even that will not help you.
It says even that will not help you.
That's right. And that's why we were referring we're not there yet. Let's recap where we're at. Okay, right now we read the pasuk. Now we're in the Shilton B'Yom HaMavet. Okay, that if you think, do not allow yourself to face the chet, to face the sin, because once you're going to face it, you're going to fail for sure.
Yeah, I saw that pasuk and I jumped. I'm sorry.
ואין משחת במלחמה, אין משלחת במלחמה. You don't have, doesn't matter what tools you have as a to go to war, to fight, they're not going to help you. You know what they're not going to help you? Like tzedakah, tefillin, all the mitzvot. Because for the mitzvot to help you, if you have a sword, or if you have like a machine gun, in order to use the machine gun to kill the Yetzirah, what do you need? You need a guy that's going to shoot. But if there's nobody to press on the thing to shoot, then it's not going to serve any purpose. So the chokhmah is the one that basically gives you chaim, that allows you to use a weapon properly. But if you don't have that chokhmah, there's no chaim. If there's no chaim, there's nobody behind that's going to use that tool to save you. Good. Velo immalet leresha et be'alav. And unfortunately, says as follows. A person, the resha, the bad, is so tasty, is so sweet, that it's not going to go away. It will not, your Yetzirah will not go away. Your tendencies, your traits, your flaws, they're not going anywhere. They will not go anywhere. So a lot of people say, you know what, time will heal, and it's okay, and things will be better. But if you don't change, nothing's going to change. And how do you change? By growing your chokhmah. You grow chokhmah, you have tools to change. you don't grow chokhmah, you don't have the tools to change. So nothing's going to happen. Nothing will change. And all you're doing is fooling yourself. The Targum goes one level higher. So we're not talking about, and it's what the Metzudat David brings it down. We're not talking about the relationship between a man and Yetzer Hara. We're talking about the relationship between man and death. He says, don't think that fear of death will save you from it. So value your time. Don't think that you can stop it, because you cannot stop it. You cannot outcome it. And what brings death? It's the chata'im, right? The sins. So he says, even, and that's a puzzling chidush. He says, even remorse. If it's too late, it's not going to help. It will not help you get out of your own way and be able to turn things around. Now, we know a lot of cases in the Gemara that did teshuvah, and Rabbi Yehuda Nasi says, a person can snap in a split of a second, do teshuvah last second and turn everything around. This is extremely difficult to do. The problem is that everybody thinks, okay, I have time to do teshuvah. We have Rosh Hashanah. It's okay. Let me enjoy life. A few days before Rosh Hashanah, I'm going to go to Slichot. Okay, and then I have time to do teshuvah. It's okay. It's okay. It's extremely, extremely difficult to be genuine about it. Not the fear, not the guilt, will be good enough, says the Targum, to help you in the day in Yom Adin on Rosh Hashanah. It won't. The problem is that we fool ourselves and we think that, yeah, it's okay. Let me have a great time, and I have time to do teshuvah. Says the Targum, this is what Shlomo Amelech is telling us. Stop throwing things under the rug, thinking that it's going to be fine. It's not fine. And that's what he says, the next pasuk. Et kol ze ra'iti. I saw it all. What does it mean I saw it all? I lived it, says Shlomo Amelech. I experienced it myself. Ve'natonet libi. And I gave my heart to it, to understand it. Lechol ma'aseh, to understand all actions, to see where he's leading. I tried to understand all this dynamic. I lived it. I've experienced it. Et asher shalat ha'adam ba'adam. But you know what comes out of all this? Is that it makes people hate each other. It makes people conflict with each other, confront each other. This is the outcome. This is all I found. I didn't find anything from a man like that we just addressed, okay, that built him, that saved him. Ultimately, all it did, all I find is that when there's a conflict, people eat each other alive. People kill each other. People hate each other. People destroy each other. This is the outcome of that type of person.
Bro, I'm still confused on the part of tzedakah tatil mimavet. Why would he quote that as something? If you just take that piece and
it's not Shlomo that says it. Those commentaries. It's a commentary, and this commentary.
Right, but aren't they quoting Shlomo in Proverbs?
Who's they?
It says in the commentary, right? Mahari Kara is quoting Shlomo. Isn't tzedakah tatil mimavet from Shlomo?
Yes, but even that tzedakah tatil mimavet is not a bulletproof thing that you can listen. If you're let me ask you a question. You're the biggest rasha, okay?
Right.
You eat pork. You're everything.
But
okay?
you give $1 billion in charity.
That really going to say tzedakah tatil mimavet? Come on. Tzedakah tatil mimavet has rules and regulations also.
But why would Shlomo say that?
That tzedakah is tatil mimavet?
Yeah, to emphasize the point. Like, why would he phrase it that way?
So you're taking 3 words out of a whole context, okay? Not you, huh? Everybody that feels comfortable with that. Everybody, it's you and everybody that feels comfortable with the statement of give tzedakah, everything is going to be fine, just to appease, the conscience and feel great about ourselves that, you know what, we gave tzedakah. That's not that. It's going back to what we said about the Rambam, okay? Using statements of the Rambam and making it a rule of gold just so that you're comfortable about the way you live. This is not what the Mari Karo is Rabbi Yosef Karo. The Mari Karo it goes all the way down. He said, don't think that just because you're going to give tzedakah, you're going to be saved. What he's coming to say is that what people hide behind? Charity. They hide behind charity. And they think that because they give tzedakah and there's their name on the building and there's a great operation behind those doors. It's me. Look what I did. Look, Baruch Hashem, kids are eating, kids are healthy, I have a Talmud Torah, I'm taking care of the old, the elders, of the poor, I built an for a hospital, it's me. So that justifies everything. You know why? I'll tell you why. Ki adam wa nefesh. And a person, his blood is his nefesh, and blood is also his sweat, his money. So a person thinks it's like a kapara. Well, there is a concept of kapara. We do kapara of Yom Kippur, we give the kapara, right? But if you don't understand that you're cleaning up, okay, the dirt that's surrounding the light, it's not going to help you. If there's no light, the dirt is meaningless. It means nothing. It's nothing. I love this peaceful hat. You understand what I'm saying? So, tzedakah tatzil mimavet, from who? From the high, from the one that's alive. And who is hayim? Hay is the chacham. So the one that's alive and that needs to die, tzedakah will save him. But if there's nobody alive, if the person that's the pasuk right after that, ubchen ra'iti reshaim kvurim, I see reshaim, they're dead, alive. They walk, but they're dead people. You see them, they walk, they drive, they play, they're on their bathing suit, on the beach, they're surfing, they're doing everything, but they're dead inside. Those are chachamim. They're not chacham. Are those people that are smart? No. And they came, and they go away, they walk away from the holy place. They walk away from the Olam Haba. They walk away, they keep on walking away and working away. And they get forgotten. They disappear. Their actions make them disappear. Gamze Havel. This is so futile. This is such a ridiculous behavior. But Havel is also the will of Hashem. This is a heaven peak. This is the Gezerah. This is the decree Hashem put in the world. This is the path you want. This is the path you get.
This is the first time in two Perakim he used Hevel.
I didn't count, but it's very possible. Very, very possible. Yes, very possible. Very possible. So, going back to what you're saying, he's saying the Rasha, he's dead inside. A person, and the Rasha, don't get me wrong, we're not talking about the wicked, bad, the guy that is, we're not talking about Al Pacino, not Al Pacino, what's his name? The guy that, what's his name? This Al Capone, right? That was we're not talking about a guy like this or this guy from Colombia, whatever his name is. We're not talking about people like the Resha. We're talking about a Rasha that has Resha in him. You know who's the Rasha? You know who's the person that's exposed to Chataim, that allows himself to be exposed to sin, allows himself to be exposed to failure? This is the Rasha. The one that allows himself to be exposed to all this. Who it is? The person that chooses not to absorb and not to take advantage of the wisdom Hashem showered the world with. And he's so selfish that he's so, he's sectarian and selective on what he wants to take. So that's a Rasha. And that person, yes, in Achinami, he's not alive. He does not a Chacham. Chacham, Chaim. Chacham is the Gematria Chaim. So the person that's not alive, how can you send somebody from death if he's already dead? Good. It's very, very important. It's very, very important. It's very important to understand what Shlomo HaMelech, what is he doing? Look, from the beginning of the Perek, address the relationship with Hashem. How beautiful it is. How enriching it is. And then he says, you know what? You have to be the dumbest individual if you don't want to take it. You're dying of hunger. The table is filled with food. The greatest food, the best food, the most healthiest food. And you're stubborn and you don't want to eat. My body's aching. I'm going to die of hunger. Die! Hashem says, die. Don't come to me and say, you know what? I came into your house and you didn't feed me. Die. Because you chose not to eat. You're already dead. So what do you want from my life? This is what Shlomo is screaming. And that's why he calls the Torah chefetz. It's a desire, what Hashem craves. He's craving for you just to absorb his wisdom, his Torah. And by the way, nobody's talking about religion right now. Nobody's talking about put your tefillin or don't put your tefillin. That's not what we're talking about. Right now, Shlomo HaMelech is talking about your relationship, the intimate relationship you have with Hashem. How much you do of actions, how much mitzvot you decide to practically do, falls back in the definition of a shomer. That's the guardian. That's the guardian. That's how much you value the relationship, and therefore you're going to want to do the right thing. You love your wife. You're going to make sure to do things that she makes her feel good, makes her feel happy. Take her out, buy her chocolates, buy her a nice piece of jewelry, take her for a dinner. You're going to do the right thing because that's what you care for. You care about the same thing with the mitzvot. If you love Hashem the way He loves you, you're gonna nurture and protect that relationship. And this is being alive. This is alive. This is the Chacham.
So when he says wisdom, what does he mean exactly? He's talking about the relationship you have with Hashem, or learning all the Torah mitzvot, or something not related to any of that.
What word?
Wisdom.
What word?
Wisdom.
I don't see any word wisdom here. Tell me the word.
Chacham.
Chokhmah.
The Chacham, yes. No. Chacham is not just knowledge. Chacham is somebody that understands. Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Right? Stephen, you didn't listen to my shiur last night. Bereshit bara Elokim, and I guess not too many people. It's okay. Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Bereshit, says the Zohar, and says the Targum Yerushalmi, bechochmeta. Bechochma bara Elokim. The Reshit is called Chochma. What does that mean? The Chochma, the Chacham, is a person that puts his life in perspective. Okay? He has a beginning. There was a beginning. Okay? You come from somewhere and you're going somewhere. It's not just a combination of and absorbing. You're not a walking book. It's to understand, to use the wisdom and implement it in your life and understand what to do in your life and how to do it.
It's also circular. It's an ecosystem, right? It's an ecosystem also. How do you achieve emunah? By learning the Torah and the wisdom, which makes you have more emunah, which makes you wiser, which makes you the Chacham.
Yes, it's a system.
It's a system.
It's a system. It's a system.
So Stephen, it's all of the above.
Listen to my shiur from last night. It's just, I'm so puzzled and so amazed again and again and again. How Hashem just, my shurim have nothing to do with Kohelet. I'm on a journey of growth in the human, in the neshama. It's the anatomy of the soul and of men that I started 3 months ago, and it's so perfectly intertwined with what we're learning. It's amazing. It's amazing. But the Chacham is the person that has the ability to take advantage of the wisdom of Hashem, to take advantage of the wisdom of the Torah, and implement in his own process, in his own life, and have a purpose and create a purpose. Even if I don't know what the full purpose is at the end, but he has a ladder, he has a direction. You know where he's coming from and where he's headed.
Very powerful message. It's almost also telling you very clearly, you can't cheat the system. You know, how people think like there's so many of these like powerful statements, like even you know, they tell you korbanot. If you just read korbanot,
we lost.
You know, you know how it says like if you read korbanot every day, it'll save you from bad things happening to you. Or tzedakah tatzil mimavet. They take these like couple of words out of context, and people take them so literally that you think you could cheat the system. All right, I'm going to do tzedakah tatzil mimavet because it'll keep me from death, and I'm going to read the korbanot, and then I'm good. I can do whatever I want after that.
That's exactly the message.
Right.
That's exactly the message.
So clear. You can't
a fool would think that way.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But we are all fools. Why? Because we're selective in the chokhmah we want to take from Hashem.
Right.
That's it. That's
we're
the
not
reality.
feasting.
We're all fools. Every one of us. Oh, you know what? I told somebody. I said, let's learn together. Let's learn together. We're going to learn a sugya about in Chod Korbanot. In the Chod Korbanot for Tara. He's like, Rabbi, he's like, what's the point? He's like, there's no Bet HaMikdash, you know, it's 2,000 years later. I said, don't you want to know? No, what's the point? What's the point? Okay, what's the point? Forget it. I learned it on my own. But we're also narrow-minded. We're all fools. All of us. Every one of us. You know, don't think that you're smart. No, we're not. Until we absorb and embrace the Torah as something that's infinite, and every word of Torah you will take, every knowledge, every statement can enrich you tremendously. Until you have this approach, you know, it's like I you know, a lot of people, you know, they're so formatted that the second you start talking about Kabbalah, as if you're talking about I don't know what. Oh no, I don't know this, I don't know that. But you don't need to understand. Just take the concept, take what you learn from it, because there's always something to learn from it, and move on and grow.
Beautiful.
That was good. I like that one.
Thank
you, Rav.
Great, Rav. Great.
He'll continue to bash the head of our head a little bit more, okay, until the end of the period. But it's okay. We can handle it.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Rav. Love you.
Thank you, Rav.
Kenny, I
Love
hope
it.
it wasn't too intense.
Right. No, it was great.
Very good. Very good.
It was great. Thank you.
Andy, love you all. Call to.
Bye.